Recently, I discovered the echo sound effect, and since then, my life has improved by 10%. To buy or not to buy? That is the question. Mergers and acquisitions 101. On today's show, we break down the 10 best practice steps for merging or acquiring another business, and why you should not buy or acquire another business until you have strong management in place. What? Yes, you should not merge with another business or acquire another business unless your current business can be profitable and successful without you being there, lording over everything. You got to have strong leaders in place. And on today's show, we talk about mergers and acquisitions 101.
Some shows don't need a celebrity narrator to introduce the show, but this show does. 2 men, 8 kids, co-created by 2 different women, 13 multi-million-dollar businesses. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Thrive Time Show.
3, 2, 1, here we go! Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, now we here.
Yes, and yes. Now, Thrive Nation, I want to get that out there. I want to get this out there real quick here. Typically, it's 2 men. We've got, there's 2 men. We have 8 kids co-created by 2 different women. That is true. However, it is normally ecstasy when Z is next to me, but he is not here today. And so we have the good Dr. Breck with us today. We have Dr. Breck with us. We've got Jason Beasley with us, and and you're stuck with me. And so, Dr. Breck, how many kids do you have?
I have 3.
Oh my gosh! Did I mute you too? That's amazing. What kind of passive aggressive host do we have here? How many kids do you have?
I have 3.
So you have 3 kids.
I do.
Okay, so we still have 8 kids that were co-created by 2 different women. There you go.
Right.
And Jason, do you have any kids?
I don't. I have dogs.
Okay, so we have 3 men, 8 kids, and how many dogs?
3.
3 dogs. Okay, so it's 3 men, 3 dogs,
And 8 kids.
and 8 kids. That's the facts. Now on today's show, Jason, what are we talking about?
Today we are talking about mergers and acquisitions, trying to determine a suitable target to buy.
So let's talk about that. Merging or acquiring. Dr. Breck, have you ever gone out there and acquired a business or merged with another business?
I did.
Well, tell us the story.
Yeah. So the current clinic that I have was at one point kind of a partnership, kind of an unusual partnership.
Okay.
But we were working side by side with 2 separate practices that in many ways from the outside looked like one. And 2 years ago, as of yesterday, I took over the other side of that practice. So Keeney Healthcare Center was Dr. Chad Keeney.
Yeah.
And 2 years ago, to the day, I took over, and it is now all Casbon Chiropractic.
Now, I'm not going to ask you for the specific amount that you paid when you acquired it, but did you guys agree on a price? Or
Yes, but the way that our merger acquisition was structured was very unusual. The attorneys that put that together told us they would never, ever do another deal that way because it was so unusual.
Could you tell us a little bit about that deal?
Yes, it was kind of structured a lot like an indentured servanthood.
Got it.
So
Indentured servanthood.
Yes. Dr.
Nice.
Keeney, he was at a point in his career where he no longer wanted to be in practice, had kind of gotten burned out, and wanted to go back to school. And so
He wanted to go back to school.
Yeah, so he went through medical school.
How old was he at this time?
He
roughly?
was in his mid-early 40s. So I want to say 43, 44.
So he's only a little bit older than you.
Yeah, he's a few years.
Maybe 10 years older than you?
I think 7 or 8.
7 or 8 years old. Okay, back to you.
Yep. But he had decided he wanted to go back to school. And so the way that our merger, as it is, would be structured was to allow him the opportunity to get through school and still have an income for his family. He has 3 kids as well and a wife to support. And so, stepping out of your career and going to school is not very easily done.
Back to school. All right.
And he did. And with medical school, it's a full-time gig. You're really not able to work while you're going through it very easily at all.
Yeah.
Especially with the family. And so
That's why I didn't go to medical school. I tell you what.
yeah.
I was on the verge of going.
And so he continued to receive all the profits from the practice while I saw all of his patients and still saw my patients.
Got it.
And then I got a small little piece of the action at the back end, what was left over that we had agreed to, because previously I'd just been paying him a flat fee for rent and use of the staff.
So then, you guys ultimately did you guys drop a contract and say this is how much we're going to pay, and this is how much you're going to pay him, or?
Right, but the way that it was structured, so basically, we kind of figured out what would it cost him if I just saw his patients without any of the changeover of the ownership.
Got it.
So without that piece, if I was just like an associate for him. And once we figured out what that number would be, then we subtracted a payment amount out of that monthly payment he would have made to me, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Now, so if you're out there today, I want you to think about this. If you have a business today, all right? If you have a business today, and let's say that you are doing $1 million of gross revenue or more. If you have a business today and you're doing more than $1 million a year of gross revenue, this show has the power to change your life. But you have to have an open mind. You got to think outside of the box here. Jason, can you read a question that we received from a Thriver that's related to today's topic?
Yeah. So Thriver asks, Paul Hood, the CPA, has been on the show discussing how he grows his business through mergers and acquisitions. However, according to a recent study, 70 to 90% of all mergers mergers and acquisitions fail to boost shareholder value. How has he made it successable? What was his process to identify a suitable target, and what is his due diligence?
Okay. This just in. I'm going to attack, not the Thriver, I'm just going to attack the part of this question real quick. It says 70% to 90% of mergers and acquisitions fail. Okay, so that is a stat that is true, but let's also think about this. I would just say, in general, in the game of life, 75% of all people fail at everything. So I know that's a rough stat. You might say, wow, you're a negative guy. No, just think about this. I have stats, and Jason, you can look up the stats. Just kind of take quick notes, and then after the show, we can add the stats to the show notes there. 75% of men surveyed there's an article you can find in the Washington Post, indicate they do not like their spouses, and they've cheated on their spouse. So it's like 71% of men have cheated. I think it's 75% of men don't like their spouse, according to Psychology Today and Washington Post. Well, that's not very positive. But then you look at starting a business. 9 out of 10 startups fail. Okay, so 9 out of 10 startups fail. 7 out of 10 marriages fail. I mean, to me, your marriage is kind of a failure if you don't like your spouse and you cheat on them, but you're still married. I think that's a loss. 75% of employees steal from the workplace. 75%. And 8 out of 10 people lie on their resumes, according to Inc. magazine. So 8 out of 10 people fail at everything. Everything.
I'm not feeling very good about this.
Yeah, so don't let that stat shock you. I would say if you're not what's the technical word? A douche, you'll do really well in the game of life. But if you are, the technical word is a douche, you will definitely fail often. So don't let that stat scare you, because I know a lot of people who are a douche who merged or acquired another business, and they failed not because of mergers and acquisitions fail, but because they fail at everything. So it's not like that they just happen to fail. It's not like that the statistics of failure in mergers and acquisitions are so high it should scare you off. It's just most people fail. Okay, but let's walk you out, walk the diligent doers through the steps needed to successfully merge and acquire another business. So, Jason, what is step number 1 as I queue up this just in?
This just in. Step 1 is make sure your current business has a strong leadership team and will not fall apart when you are not there.
Yeah, so what I would do, I know it sounds crazy, but I would go ahead, if you're thinking about merging and acquiring a business, I would make sure that you ask yourself, when was the last time I went on vacation? And when I went, did it fall apart? Does everyone currently report to me or a manager? I would contemplate these ideas, and I would actually do a stress test. So I would go on a 1-week vacation. Go to Satellite Beach and visit our good friends over there at Papagallo's. You can go there. I'm sure they'd appreciate the additional business. They're wonderful clients, great people. But go to Satellite Beach for a week, and on the beach, contemplate merging and acquiring a business. Do all the research needed. Do all your phone calls. Talk to your banker, but do it all while you're not in town. And Dr. Breck, why do you think that I would suggest that as the first step? To actually leave your business for a week to stress test it while you're thinking about acquiring another business?
Well, because acquiring another business is going to require a lot of you, and if you can't do that for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days while on vacation, then you surely can't do that day in and day out moving forward.
I have found that a lot of people think their business is very solid, but then they go on vacation and then they discover, oh no, oh no, my business is terrible. So I'll give you an example of a guy that I know, me. I went on vacation and you know yourself. That's awesome. I'm really in tune with myself. So 2004, I think, or 3, Jason, I took my wife on a cruise. Have I told you about the 7-day Hell Gig cruise?
I don't think so.
So we go on a great cruise, 7-day cruise. Went to Belize, Honduras,
Oh, wow.
Brazil. Great cruise. We went on Princess Cruise. It was cruise line. It was awesome. Loved the cruise. The problem was I put a guy in charge while I was gone. And before I left, I said, hey, make sure that XYZ, 1, 2, 3, all this happens. It's all typed up, a very specific list of things to do.
Yeah.
And we were doing probably 40 weddings per weekend at that time. 40. So we drive from Tulsa to Houston. We get on the boat in the port of Houston. We leave, come back. I got home one day before they thought I would get home because I told them, you know, I planned for the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
But we got back on time. I drove home through the night so I could get home early just to check on the business. So the morning that I got home like on a Monday, and I think they thought I was going to be home on a Tuesday. So Monday morning, the typical flow was, you know, the phones, everyone gets to work around 8:30. Phones start ringing at 9. We start handling customer service, booking weddings, etc. So I'm there, 9 o'clock, nobody's there. 9:30, nobody. 10 o'clock, I don't remember the specific times. I just remember the people who were supposed to be wearing shirts and ties and were supposed to be working at 9 showed up like at 10 wearing shorts and, you know, T-shirts and joking around and looking like they'd had a lot of beers the night before or something. I noticed our trash cans were filled with beer cans, and checked the voicemails, and I noticed that the guys had actually missed a wedding. Like they just didn't show up at someone's wedding. And I noticed their voicemail, because you see the red light flashing. I'm checking the voicemails, and I almost couldn't handle it. Just complaint after complaint after complaint. And they had no problem. They skipped the morning meeting. They weren't dressed up. I talked to the guy who was in charge, the manager, and he said, because we had such a rough weekend, because such and such called in last minute, we couldn't cover it. And I had never let that happen for me. So I was like, how in the world are you letting this happen for you? I mean, but anyway, they said because such and such couldn't cover the wedding. It was such a demotivator. I wanted to give the guys off today, just as a way to kind of, you know, give them off half the day as a way just to kind of recoup, because it was a rough weekend, man. And I'm going, are you kidding me? I said, did you guys work while I was gone? He goes, yeah, the whole time. Just Friday, I did let the guys go get off early. We all went out for a picnic. I'm like, you took the team out on a picnic? He goes, well, what we did is we put out the tables downstairs in the front of the house there. We put the tables out and we ordered in some food and we all ate outside. It was such a great day.
Well, yeah.
And I'm going, so you gave the team off half of Friday and Monday.
Half a Monday.
And and I don't remember all the details. I just remember that the guy who called in and said he couldn't do the wedding called in on a Friday, but they didn't answer the phones, so they didn't know.
So they wouldn't know.
And then on Saturday they missed it was just terrible.
And yet couldn't see that they had created this problem.
But here I thought my business was in a great spot where I could actually open up another location in Dallas.
Right.
So around this time, I was actually opening up another location in Dallas without having the proper leadership team on board. And it got really bad really quick. And from the time we got back from the cruise, it probably took me a week to deal with the legal issues, the refunds, the apologizing, the firing, the training. It was an abomination. It was just a complete abomination. It was like there was a complete infestation of abominations. It was just awful. Once I dealt with that, it was probably a week and a half later. Meanwhile, our Dallas location was floundering. Sales were having problems with that. And it was because I didn't have strong leadership in place previous to growing. So that is the best advice I could give you, is book a short trip, go somewhere, and do all of your negotiations and conversations while on your trip that week. Dr. Breck, have you got to a place now where if you're gone for a couple days where you feel, confident? Or when have you... currently, do you feel more confident than ever before, or how long can you be gone now?
I can be gone for a couple of days right now.
Just a couple of days.
Just a couple of days.
Yeah.
And so what happens is essentially we for the chiropractic side, because we do massage as well. But chiropractically,
No one else can do it for you.
I'll shut down the chiropractic for a couple of days.
Wow.
Reschedule patients around that time that I'm gone. I did bring in a doctor to cover the clinic last year for a vacation.
Yeah.
And that went horribly.
Went bad.
And so,
Yeah.
So kind of like what you're saying, I had to come home and clean up messes and deal with problems that had created, not because of the team so much, but that doctor
I get it.
disappointed me. But then
Real
right
quick,
now,
if you're
we're
out
trying
there,
to-
I don't mean to interrupt you. If you're
go
out there, that you and I and Dr. Breck, all of us, if you have a business that's doing over $1 million of gross revenue, there's a false confidence we all have that, oh, I'll just bring in another doctor, or I'll let I'll let this manager manage the DJ company, or we have this false confidence. We believe that it's going to work well when we step away for a week or a couple days. And unfortunately, when you're gone for a couple days, you're going to discover the house of cards.
Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah, absolutely. So right now I'm actually just recently started advertising and looking for another doctor to come in part-time.
Part-time.
That's actually going to be a part of our team, and that way they know how we do things, our systems, our programs, the way that we practice. And then hopefully here in the very near future, I will be able to get out of the office for a couple of more days at a time.
Now, if you're out there today, listening today, and you are in the Tulsa, Oklahoma area, holy cow, this could be your opportunity. Dr. Breck at drbreck.com, DRBRECK.com, is looking to hire another chiropractor. So if you're out there listening, we're going to air this show on a Monday right here in Tulsa. So if you are in the Tulsa area listening to the sounds of my voice and you know a chiropractor, text him right now and say, hey, my good friend Dr. Breck is looking to hire somebody. Do you want to join the dream team? It's a great job. It's a great opportunity. Do you mind sharing some of the details about the job opportunity so somebody out there listening can, maybe decide? I know this show is hot with the chiropractors. Chiropractors love this show. That's all the chiropractors are listening right now saying, what's cracking? What's the deal? Tell me about the deal, Dr. Breck.
So right now, really, with kind of a part-time to potentially full-time position being available for the right individual who can handle that load, we're looking to hire essentially immediately. And and grow. Our practice is growing, and so we need to expand. Our new patients are scheduled out into July right now, which is a crazy thing for chiropractic. Several chiropractors that I recently had the opportunity to talk with are struggling to get new patients at all.
Oh yeah,
and so we're having some great problems, but they're all growth problems, and so
I could
say
where
we need to go.
1/90% of your growth is attributed to being on this show. But man, when those people come in from the show, it's beautiful.
We've had patients from the show.
Yeah.
They come in, they tell us, and they're great patients.
I ran into I can't remember who I ran into. Some business owner that told me he heard about you on our radio show, and so hopefully you're getting people over there. But again, if you're out there, you're looking for a job, check out drbreck.com. Are you hiring for any other positions right now, or
we
just
are.
the chiropractor?
We're going to have some extra support staff to support this new doctor.
Yeah.
So somebody who has the right attitude, wants to work, and is willing to learn. They don't have to have any other prior experience. We'll teach them the skills they need.
Jason. Yes, sir.
Do you remember last Friday? Do you remember our Friday meeting for Elephant in the Room on Friday?
Yes.
He's a great memory. Here we are on a Sunday. He remembers Friday.
Well, I thought you were like
No,
trying
no.
to trick me because we
I am.
almost flooded the Friday before.
Well, I am trying to trick you kind of, but we're going to talk in a vague. We cannot get ourselves in trouble.
Gotcha.
Okay. But at our meeting on Friday, we break up the stylists into 3 groups.
Sure.
For training. Why do we break them up into 3? Why do we break up our stylists? Because our stylists are great people, but why would other organizations have to break up their stylists into 3 groups? Not why we have to break them up into 3 groups, but why would other haircut businesses, when they have a required mandatory weekly training, why would they have to break up their stylists into 3 groups and not keep them all in 1 group?
So other hairstylists
not us.
would have to be broken up because you want to kind of weed out that mob mentality that happens when you have a bunch of hyper emotional people in the same area.
Of the mob mentality.
Yeah.
Now explain what the mob mentality is, because somebody out there listening needs to get this advice, needs to understand this.
So the best way that I could ever describe mob mentality is, have you ever been to like a sporting event and everything is fine, and then there's one person who's super heated, then some guy in the back's just like, that's right, get him, and then everybody else frantically doesn't know what to do, so they just do what everybody else is doing, and it just gets worse and worse and worse.
And so not at our meeting on Friday, but someone else's meeting.
Yeah.
What
Those other Friday
could have
meetings.
happened at another hair businesses Friday meetings? Because it doesn't happen for us, but for other companies, if we're not careful.
Right. So for other companies, if they're not careful,
Yeah.
what would happen is you would have a group that branches off and still has that lingering mob mentality. Let's say we have two groups doing the training that they're supposed to, and then one just decides they want to get into like negative conversation. And then it begins to stew because you have so many different people that are just dealing in the emotional and not the logical.
This, unfortunately, is a universal truth. So at Elephant in the Room, we have very positive people. And if we see any negativity going on, the strong leadership steps in and puts it out.
Right.
But what if we didn't have strong leadership like you to stomp out negativity? Not at our business, but at other businesses. What would happen? Even if we just had one meeting, just one, where all of them were gathered around together.
Yeah.
And there wasn't strong leadership to stamp out negativity.
Well, I've worked at those other businesses, so I've seen it firsthand where if you're at a conference table or if you're doing like a team huddle and you have the focal point of leadership, aka management or the assistant management, and they're not too sound in their disciplinary action.
Yes.
And they start on the right track, and then somebody has a negative comment, then somebody's like, oh, you know what, you're right. And then it starts to do like the whisper conversation in the back.
Here it
And then
goes.
it just starts to build and build and build. And at one point you have the manager going, hey guys, hey guys, can you pay attention over here? And then they're like, no, and it gets worse and worse and worse.
So I have moves that I use, but we have strong leadership in place. Jason's on our team. Daisy's on our team. John's on our team. A lot of strong leaders. And we stomp that out. But if there wasn't people like you and John and Daisy, we didn't have a team. I think we go about 11 people deep right now that are very strong leaders that will stomp out negativity.
Yeah.
But if we didn't have them in place, let me tell you. So we have a cruise we've booked on July 4th, I think it is. It's like the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th. I will go on that cruise with great confidence, knowing that the world will not end because we have strong leadership in place. But let me tell you, Mr. Listener, if you're thinking about acquiring another business and you don't stress test your business before doing it, you are going to be screwed. You're going to find yourself in a very bad situation. Seriously, it's going to be bad. I'm just telling you, Jason, if you don't have strong leadership in place, how bad could it get? Not at our hair shops, but at other hair shops if there's not a strong leader that day. Let's say the manager calls in sick and now there's no chief to lead the natives. What would happen?
Well, you would either get people who want to start doing things their own way, which could be bad for your business, or much like with your previous experience, you would get into the situation where people just don't do anything at all, and then you have a stack of burning fires and you come back and you're like, dear Lord, how did I let this happen?
Now, step number 2. So step number 1 is make sure that your current business has a strong leadership team and will not fail when you are not there. Step 2 is what, Jason?
Look for businesses that you can vertically integrate.
What does that mean?
It's a great question.
Okay,
Enlighten me.
vertically integrate. Let's talk about this. So, Dr. Breck, a lot of people come into your chiropractic center, drbreck.com. By the way, if you're listening out there, seriously, the first exam, the first x-ray, the first adjustment, I believe is a little bit lower than $1. I believe it's free.
It is free.
What? Okay, so if you're out there, free $99.
$3.99.
$3.99. That's incredible. I like the 99 makes it just seem a little bit more affordable. So it's free $99. So a lot of people come in though and they go, gosh, I want a recommendation for a massage. And you're going, why? You sound kind of emotional there, Tiger. I've been looking for a good massage place. And so you as a doctor over time realized people were looking for a massage.
True.
A therapeutic massage, I believe.
Yes.
And so you decided to bring it in-house.
We did.
That's vertical integration. It's where you're bringing into your business the things that you typically referred out.
Right.
So another example would be if you change oil right now. You have a business where you change oil change, a Jiffy Lube kind of a thing. And people say, man, my brakes are screwed up. Do you guys do that? And you say, nope, but we do recommend this particular automotive repair shop. Boom. And you keep doing that for a decade. Over time, you may realize, wow, if we did it in-house, we could probably make more money.
Yep.
Makes sense.
So elephant in the room, Jason, are you familiar with a Shoegate?
Shoegate. I am not.
Oh my gosh, this is a terrible, terrible thing. We had a lot of guys that came in buying nice shoes, like really nice shoes. And it occurred to me that everybody who goes to Elephant in the Room is a classy guy, many of which have nice shoes.
True.
You know, they're doctors, lawyers. They got these nice Nice shoes. I mean,
I've seen some pretty nice shoes come through.
what kind of brands they wear? Like, is Brooks Brothers? Is that a kind of shoe?
I know nothing about fashion.
I know nothing about shoes.
I know they make suits.
Do
Yeah.
you know what kind of shoes they would wear?
I would guess some kind of an Italian brand, but I don't know.
I don't know the brands of shoes, but they're nice shoes. The guys are coming in with these great shoes. I talked to one guy and I'm like, sir, how much are those shoes? Those are some nice shoes. Oh, well, I got these for the Cole Haans. I got these Cole Haans. They're only like $300. And I'm like, ooh, only $300. Wow. So I thought the guys who come into Elephant in the Room all have nice shoes. We should vertically integrate shoes. So I actually found a gentleman who buys the shoes for the big stores like Joseph A. Banks.
Yeah.
This is the nicer shoe places. And so I bought like $40,000 of shoes.
Yeah.
Like really nice shoes. And the idea was you come in, get your hair cut, and we'll have shoes on display. You get some shoes too.
Right.
And God, the guys loved it. The guys are buying these shoes, and everyone's going, hey, do you have my size in this kind of shoe? Do you have my size in this kind of shoe?
Right.
And so I'm kind of accommodating the demand. And at the end of the month, I realized our stylists are helping people find their shoes. They're not cutting hair.
They're not cutting the hair.
And we're not being profitable with either business.
Right.
Because we're spending all of our time trying to, some guy loves these shoes, but he wants it in a 9. Now I'm special ordering this shoe. He has a wider foot. He wants a wider shoe.
We've now brought in a shoe shine guy.
So I went through, we sold all the shoes, but it couldn't happen fast enough.
That's hilarious.
So I got to the end of the shoes, and I think the last week, they were 90% off because I was just trying to get rid of them. They're pissing me off so much. So I was like, here, you can get the shoes 95%. Some of the early Elephant in the Room members will remember this, but there was like 95% off.
Did you offer shoe shining as well?
Yes.
Okay, so this is connecting so many dots. Just a brief story.
Oh, it's
I was
terrible.
at the 91st location. A guy
Don't do
walks up with these 2 really nice pairs of shoes. And I'm like, do you have an appointment today? He goes, no, I'm here for the shoe shining. I'm like, excuse me? He goes, Elephant in the Room. You guys shine shoes? I'm like, no, I don't believe we do. He's like, no, I'm pretty sure somebody told me. And he tried to find it on Google. I'm like, I apologize, but I think you got wrong information. But I guess he was right.
I am sorry.
There was a time.
If you're out there, I'm so sorry that I gave you that gift that was actually a plague for me and then took it away. So guys would get their hair cut and we'd say, hey, we can shine your shoes while you're here. And the guys loved it. But you know what the problem was, Jason?
What was the problem?
I had to teach women who were hairstylists
To shine shoes.
right. And everybody hated it. Nobody liked it. It's a certain skill. It's a certain craft.
Right.
We didn't have enough people that wanted a shoe shine to make it worth training everybody. We had one person in the shop who was like a shoe shine guru now, and they couldn't cut anybody's hair because they were shining shoes.
That's incredible.
Certain guys, their shoes smelled like a wet basement after a flood. It was just gross. You dealt with athlete's foot, weird smells.
Connecting.
So anyway, again, if you're out there, you want to think about a business you could vertically integrate with that wouldn't destroy your current business.
Yeah, you don't want to take away from your strengths.
Let me tell you a business right now that I don't think I'm going to get involved in, but that came across as an opportunity just this week. It's a print shop. Have you heard about the print shop?
Are you saying Prince or print?
It could be Prince. Raspberry berry. Hey, no, but the purple rain, purple rain.
I'd say invest in that.
No, but it's a print shop in Tulsa that's failing.
Okay.
And it's like, I think $50,000.
Really?
And I could move in all the stuff here and print our own business cards and our own,
cool.
print everything. But you know
Right.
the problem with that?
What's that?
We'd have to learn how to do it.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's worth it. I think the margins are so small. And what if you screw up a business owner's business cards? I mean,
Right.
that's a...
And then you got to eat that and
eat
redo
that
it
cost, and
yeah.
I don't think I'm going to do it. But it's an opportunity to vertically integrate.
Yeah.
And that's what we're talking about here. All right? So step 3, Jason. Step 3. What is step 3?
Step number 3 is huge. It's make a Dream 100 list of businesses to buy.
Make a what?
A Dream 100 list.
Can you repeat it one more time? For some reason, I'm having a hard time comprehending the English language this morning.
Step number 3, make a Dream 100 list of businesses to buy.
What is a Dream 100 list?
A Dream 100 list is a list of 100 plus or minus however many you can come up with businesses that you would either kill or die to work with or for.
Or it could be a list of 100 some things that you want to happen.
Right.
So it's a list of 100. So you'd make a list of 100 potential let's say chiropractic businesses that you'd want to buy or merge with or team up with. And why, Jason, would you want to have a list of 100? Because this system was developed by Chet Holmes, the author of The Ultimate Sales Machine, who used to work with Charlie Munger. That's Warren Buffett's partner. Chet Holmes, great book, by the way, The Ultimate Sales Machine. Why would you want to have a list of 100?
Well, it's the same thing that we do like with our sales calls when we ask like, hey, you guys made 200 calls today and you got one appointment booked. And we celebrate it like, why? Well, because we had to hit 200 people to get this one. So you're basically investing more in your potential chances of hearing a yes if you have a wider network of people. Or let's say you have 100 people and you contact all of them and they say absolutely. Now you have 100 plus people that are going to help you with your new brand.
Think about this for a second. If you make a list of 100, what is the statistical probability, Dr. Breck, if you wanted to buy a chiropractic practice in Tulsa, you wanted to merge with somebody, you wanted to acquire them, if you made a list of the 100 chiropractors in Tulsa, and by the way, is there 100 in Tulsa?
Yes, there's about a 215, 220, I think.
And how many are really competitively running it like a business, you think? Maybe 10, 20?
Yes.
Let's say,
I think that's probably accurate.
but if you made a list of 100 chiropractors in Tulsa you wanted to merge with, and you had a member of your team cold call them to set up a meeting with you, how many of them do you think would actually meet with you? Of the top, of those 200 in Tulsa.
Oh, goodness. Yeah, I wouldn't think too many of them.
Chet
I
Holmes-
would think it'd be pretty low.
Chet Holmes talks about the Dream 100. He says, you have about a 3% chance that somebody will want to do what you want them to do.
Sure. Yeah.
If you're just randomly asking people. 3%. So let me give you an example. If you're out there listening today, I want you to Google search Tillman, Tillman, T-I-L-M-A-N, Fertitta. Tillman Fertitta. And Jason, we'll put that on the show notes. Tillman Fertitta. T-I-L-M-A-N, Fertitta. F-E-R-T-I-T-T-A. You might say, who is that? Well, that is a man who owns the Houston Rockets. And that is the newest guest we just booked to be on the Thrive Time Show.
Very
I
cool.
just got Tillman to agree. Now, you might say, why would you want a basketball owner on the show? Well, I don't know. I mean, one is he owns Landry's. It's the big restaurant
Yes.
chain. He owns the Crab Shack. He owns the Houston Rockets. He's worth $4 billion. And I thought, well, you know what?
Might know something about business.
Even though we have certain standards on the show, we only want to have super successful people on the show. Perhaps we could allow him to be on the show. No, I made a list of 100 people that are big, and a big push I'm going to have in the next year is I'm trying to get owners of pro sports teams on the show.
And
So
his team is, I mean, they have
They're
done
legit.
some amazing things, and they're on the rise.
And Houston's one of the biggest cities in America. I don't know if people realize that, but Houston is a very large city.
True.
So I figure if we can get him on the show, perhaps we could get Bob Kraft from the Patriots, or we could get any other owners. And by the way, if you get an owner of a sports team on the show,
Right.
NBA players want to be rappers. Rappers want to be NBA players, all right? NFL players want to be rappers. Rappers want to be NFL players. It's athletes want to be musicians, vice versa. There's a certain, and once you start, but everybody wants to own a pro team. That's like the holy grail.
Sure.
If you're a dude out there, you got to admit, you probably want to own a pro team. That's like, that's the holy grail.
Oh, yeah.
So anybody out there who owns a business who's a multimillionaire, we kind of secretly look up to pro sports owners because we're like,
Aren't they printing money as a sports owner?
I mean, those guys are. I mean, let's type in the value. Let's type in the value of the Houston Rockets. Just right now, the Houston Rockets are worth. Oh, come on. Well, they're worth $1.65 billion. Wow. $1.65 billion. So, again, I mean that's a hot deal. But again, I don't get 100% of the guests that I invite to say yes.
Right.
We just got Ross Golan on the show, one of the top songwriters of the past 5 years. He writes for Justin Bieber, Selena. He's worked with Linkin Park. We just had him on the show. We've had John Maxwell on the show. But how many people have we not had on the show?
Hundreds.
I mean, it's unbelievable. Thousands, actually. let me show this example. And I know the listeners, I know you can't see what I'm typing, so this will probably be less exciting for you. But if you're a listener out there and you type in, let's do a search, everybody, for Foundry Media. Do a search for Foundry Media. We search for that. Once you find Foundry Media, I want you to look up here on the books they represent, okay? This is Foundry Media, Foundry, foundrymedia.com. We just booked the founder of Foundry Media on the show. EFOT will be on the show in a couple days. And I'm not sure when we release these shows, so I'm not really sure what that means for you as a listener. So just stay tuned and listen to every show because you don't want to miss it. But they produced Sean Payton, the head coach of the New Orleans Saints, his book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F. That's
Great
them.
book.
Chris Kyle's book that was made into a movie.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
The Legend of the Sniper, they got him. Chris Farley's book, The Chris Farley Show, they booked that. That's the book they represent. They represent You Are a Bad Boop. They represent that book. You can find at Target today. They represent Elon Musk's book right there. Damon John, the head of FUBU, the inside story of Tom Brady's fight for redemption. These guys, if you go to Target, you're going to find their books. And recently, I tricked them, and they've agreed to represent me. But anyway, how many times have I been rejected? 4 years.
True.
4 years? Literally 4 years. These guys have rejected me for years. Why? Because I wasn't my swagalicious wasn't big enough yet.
Right.
I didn't have enough swagalicious, technically speaking. I did not have enough swagalicious. But through the process of making a Dream 100, I have invited these people over and over and over and over and over and over to be on the show. And I've had some people reach back to me and say, no. When I say some people, at the peak of our Dream 100ing, Jason, what was the peak number of guests that John and I invited to be on the show every week? At the peak. What do you think? The peak number of rejections per week that we can emotionally tolerate?
At the peak, weren't you guys inviting like 1,000 a week?
Yeah, the thing is, we kind of joke around here, but we work 9 days a week here. We do not. We put out 9 shows a week.
Right.
So I said we're going to invite 900 guests a week. And that was the peak.
Yeah.
And at the peak, we got about 4 people to say yes out of 900. So 4 out of 900. That's like, even if we got 1 out of 100, that'd be at 1%.
Right.
So 4 out of 900. You do the math. That's not good. But you've got to make a list of the 100 chiropractic businesses you want to buy, the 100 businesses you want to acquire. You got to make a list of 100 of them. You got to do it.
Right.
Jason, sell me on the dream. Why do I have to make a list of 100, not just a list of 2?
You want to have as many as possible because people are likely going to say no. Like
Right.
Mr. Chet says, 3% of the people are going to do what you want them to do, and that's about as small as, 4 out of 900.
Now, step 4, here we go. You want to call them until they say no or yes. You want to call them until they say no or yes. Jason, how many calls do you estimate that would take? Because you have clients that do the Dream 100 system. How many calls do you think we have to make to somebody to say, hey, boop, 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 boop. Hey, I'd like to talk to Dr. such and such. What about? I'm interested in maybe partnering with him.
Right.
And by the way, don't tell the secretary you're interested in buying his business.
No.
Because that's going to get them upset.
Good call. Yeah.
By the way, boss, someone wants to buy our business. Are we going out of business? Don't freak out the staff.
Right.
Just call. Boop, 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 boop. Hey, thank you for calling Dr. Such and Such's office. Hey, Dr. Such and Such. This is Dr. What's happening? I was calling because I would like to talk to you about partnering with you in the future. If you make that many calls, Jason, why can't you just call once and leave a voicemail? Why do you have to just call until they say yes or no?
I was literally about to say you cannot think the move of calling, leaving a voicemail, and then sending an email one time is going to work because, one, nobody checks their email like they're supposed to. Nobody listens to voicemails anymore. And then that one shot at reaching out to them is not going to increase your likelihood of them saying yes. If you're tenacious enough and you keep blowing them up, you're either going to annoy them until they say, go the hell away, or they're going to say, wow, this person really, really wants my time. I should probably give them a call back.
But you have to keep calling. Dr. Breck, when people fill out the form at drbreck.com,
Yes.
DRBRECK.com, they fill out the form to schedule the first appointment.
Yes.
How many times do you typically have to call or text somebody? How many times does your team have to call or text somebody before they usually get them on the phone?
It's usually 2 or 3 times.
There we go.
Since they've actually solicited us,
Yep.
I think our rate of return is a little better than if we're cold calling them.
But if they've already solicited you, you still have to call them 2 or 3 times.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you this, Thrive Nation. I love you guys. I love you guys. I love you guys. But you need to help me here, Thrive Nation. I want you to help me. Help me. Help me, someone. I need the help. Help me. I'm in a very dark time in my life right now because a couple of you, not you listening, but your friend, you go to thrivetimeshow.com and you want to book tickets to the workshop. Oh, yes. Not you, but your friend. They want to book tickets. They do. Yes, they do. And what they do is they'll fill out that sacred, sanctimonious phone and that form with their phone. And I know they're busy. I know they are. You just got to tell them this. Right now, we're up to having to call the average person over 10 times before we reach them.
Really?
Whoa.
Yes. And I'll tell you why. Because you are business owners. You're listening out there. You, if you're listening to this show, you either hate me or you own a business or you want to own a business. But if you don't own a business or want to own a business, this is not the show for you.
No.
So if you are out there and you don't have that entrepreneurial drive, you're going to hate this show. But let me tell you what, if you own a business and you fill out that form, during the day, you have a job. So we've got so many optometrists, doctors, dentists, lawyers, people coming in from Canada, Australia, all over the world wanting to get to the workshop. You fill out that form, and because you're working during the day, you don't answer your personal cell phone.
Right.
And then at night, because you've been working all day, you turn that phone off.
You don't return the calls.
So there's no window to reach you. And a lot of times, this is how the phone call goes. It'll go boop 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 boop, ring ring, boop 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 boop, ring ring. Hello, this is Dr. Chad. Hey, Dr. Chad, this is Clay with the Thrive Time Show. Clay, I got to let you go. Is this a good time? Bye. And so you answer the phone, and you say it's not a good time, and then you go. And so I have to tell our reps, that is a term of endearment for an entrepreneur. The fact they answered the phone, that's good. You got some good rapport going
That's
there.
start, yeah.
Did you find out a time to call them back? They said, no, they answered the phone and said, now's not a good time. It's a weird move, but it's a move. It's a business move. It's an entrepreneurial move.
Right.
But you got to call these people until they say yes or no to having a confidential appointment.
Yep.
Now, step 5, Jason, what is step number 5?
Meet with the potential seller.
Why?
Well, well, you have to, one, let them know what you're wanting to do, but then also to have like terms of the actual merger.
So what you do is you meet with the potential seller, and you go over A, B, and C. All right, Jason, read off the A, B, and C, the sub moves of move number 5.
So the first move of move number 5, after you meet with them, you want to determine their goals.
When you're meeting somebody, Dr. Brick, why would you want to ask them their goals when you're thinking about buying their business?
Well, you've got to know what they want where are they headed? Where's their headspace? Are they wanting to close up shop? Are they wanting to retire soon? Are they just getting started? Are they crashing and burning? I mean,
I've met a lot of business owners who skip that step, though. They're meeting with a guy. They meet with a guy they don't know. And they're saying, here's my dreams. Doctor, here are my goals. And I want to buy your practice and take it to Alderaan. And the other guy's going, I don't know what Alderaan is. I don't even know who you are. We have no rapport here. I'm not interested. So you can kill the deal by simply not asking them their goals.
I don't know how you make an offer if you don't know what it is they want.
There it is. Now, Jason, what is the sub point B?
Determine why and when they would be willing to sell the business.
Now, here's what's crazy. I know of at least in my cranium 24 examples where the owner said this number, Jason. This number will blow this number will blow your mind. Okay, so that means one of my clients met with somebody about buying their business, and the number I'm going to tell you will blow your mind.
I'm ready.
One particular doctor that I know pretty well, he met with another doctor, and he said, "Doctor, I'm interested in buying your business. I'd like to know, what are your goals?" And the doctor says to him, I have a terminal illness, and I've got about a year left, and I'm just going to give it to you if you'll take over my lease and all the payments I owe. I've got a life insurance policy for my wife, and I've only got a year left, and I have to see all the patients every day, and I have a building that's worth about $1 million. I owe about $500,000 on it. You can take my building
Right.
and my business. Because it's a contract, we need to have some sort of money exchanged. So if you'll just give me like $1, seriously, you can take my $1.2 billion business, or my building and my business, all of it, and I'll just leave tomorrow.
Wow.
And I know that has happened. That scenario, the terminal illness has happened once.
Right.
I know of a pizza business that a guy called, boop, 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 boop. Hey, I'm interested in acquiring your business. They meet. What are your goals? The guy says, I hate this business.
Right.
I hate this business. I hate this business. I regret doing it. It's destroyed my life. I work all the time. I have savings. So if you'll just take over it tomorrow, I'll go back to corporate America. Literally, I will be. You can just have it.
You're helping me.
I know
it's
of
a gift.
I know of a haircut business in town that did that. The location we're in now at 16th in Boston.
Yeah.
What did that business used to be?
It was a salon.
Really? How much did I buy it for? Do you think?
Probably dirt cheap.
0.
Whoa.
It was already a salon.
Impressive.
So that is a move. It's a move.
Oh, yeah.
That is a move.
There are people out there just begging to get out
Do
of
that
business.
move. Do the move. Do that move.
But you won't know unless you ask them what their goals are.
Right.
Right. I know years ago, behind a church, near the Farm Shopping Center, there was a beautiful house. Had like the Amazon growing in the front yard. All the neighbors had nice lawns. And this was like the Amazonian yard. I mean, there was like spider monkeys out there. I mean, it was a nice neighborhood.
Yeah, that's my area.
By 51st and Sheridan.
Yep, exactly.
And there was all these nice houses, but one house had the Amazon growing. It looked like there was the crazy. It looks like someone had not maintained any aspect of the house in probably 5 years. Right. It's located behind a church. So, Jason, what do you think? Why did that house look so beautiful to me? The house that hadn't been maintained in 5 years.
Because you realize that somebody wouldn't want to deal with this, so they'd rather just sell it so somebody else could take care of it.
So I went to the pastor, went to the secretary, pastor. I can't remember the whole situation, but I moved my way through the labyrinth of things. I'm not sure. I think Braxton did it or I did it. Somebody did it. We worked our way through, and we talked to the pastor, and he says, "You guys can just have it for what we have in on it." I go, "What do you mean?" They bought that house as a parsonage. And the church was having some financial problems. And I think we bought it for $40,000.
Steal.
And it was worth like $200.
Right.
Maybe $170, I think. So we put about $40,000 into fixing it, knocked out walls, opened it up, made it look beautiful.
Right.
Vaulted the ceilings, sold the house for I think like I don't remember, over 100, like maybe 130, 140. Steal of a deal. It sold super fast.
Right.
And we bought it for like 40 or 50, put in 40 or 50 of work. So you ended up making like 30 grand. Again, if you're out there, you have not because you ask not. You've got to dig through another man's trash. It may be your treasure. You've got to do it.
Right.
And if you're out there and you can scale, I encourage you to do this move. Jason, I have called other DJ companies when I was growing DJ Connection and have bought all of their gear for like 10 grand. That was worth 100 grand last year. Because a lot of guys think they want to be a DJ until they have to realize I got to do sales and marketing and accounting. And so you've got to make a list of the Dream 100 businesses you want to buy, okay? Now, subpoint C under step 5, Jason, is what?
You want to ask them to see their real numbers and do not sign a non-disclosure agreement.
What?
You want me to repeat the whole thing back? You want to see you want to see their real numbers, and then you want to avoid a non-disclosure agreement.
Man, are you saying I got to see the real numbers, man?
Oh, yeah.
Why come we can't just talk about visions, man, and like visions and merging and the teamwork and the vision? Dr. Breck, why do you have to eventually look at the guy's numbers, the other company's numbers?
I mean, you got to know what you're actually acquiring. I mean, people will lie about all kinds of things. We've already started the show with people, cheating on their spouses and lying on their resume.
It's getting darker.
Yeah. I mean, I got this practice and I see 2 million people a year.
2 million people every day. I see 2 million people. It's crazy.
It's awesome.
I'm so hot. But what happens is people always lie about their numbers.
True.
And let me tell you some of the craziest lies I've seen most recently in the last 3 or 4 years of doing conferences. We had one pastor came in. It blew my mind. Because pastors, if you're going to college at a university and you're a freshman, you typically ask somebody, so what's your major?
Right.
Whenever you're hitting on a girl, that's like a hot question. That's your pickup line. Hey, baby, what's your major? What are you studying? I want to study you. That kind of thing. And then if you're a pastor, the question is, hey, pastor. If there's a bunch of pastors getting together, they talk about how many people are you running? How many are you running? How many are you running? How many are you running? If you're working out, a lot of guys say, how much can you bench?
Yeah, what's your bench?
How much can you bench? I can bench a ton. How much can you bench? I can bench a lot to just pump it up. How much can you bench? Pastors say, though, how much are you running? So this pastor's at our workshop, is clowny-ish individual. And he says, I said, well, how many people attend your church? Because I work with enough pastors to know that's the question you ask.
That's the right answer.
And he says, we're running thousands. Thousands. Wow. How many thousands? A couple thousand. So you run 2,000? Wow, 2,000? 2,000. So I'm Google searching buildings about the size of this butt room here, I'm like, wow, 2,000 people in a small room. Anyway, long story short, I'm like, I'm just asking the guy, and I have other pastors I work with now, and I started asking some other pastors. I said, pastor client, pastor friend, when a pastor tells me they're running 2,000 people at their church, how do they come up with that number?
Right.
And one guy said, well, a lot of times they'll take the total number of people who attended church, the total attendance for the month.
Right.
So if the same 500 people attended 4 times, they'll add that up and say that's the number.
All right.
Or they'll add up their Wednesdays and Sundays, or they'll add up the total number of people who've attended the church that year. So if 2,000 different people at some point attended the church this year, they add that up. And I guess when I was asking the question, I was saying how many people attend every Sunday, on
Right,
any given
yeah.
Sunday. But again, people like to give the biggest number.
Right.
Very few people like to go, we have 4 people at the church. Very few people want to do that. So I see a lot of people with their businesses, what they'll do is they'll run all of their expenses for their personal life through the business. And they'll tell you, oh man, we make a profit of $100,000 a year. And you say, well, your tax return shows you're making a profit of $10,000 a year.
Right.
And they go, huh? And you say, well, yeah, I mean, so if I buy the business from you, how much actual profit is there? And they say, well, the profit, we make hundreds of thousands of dollars a month or a year on profit, but I only report a profit of $10,000 a year for taxes. You know what I mean? Right?
Right. Wink, wink.
Well, you go to a banker and you tell a banker, hey, I want to buy this business for $300,000 because typically you can buy a business for the profit times 2.5. Okay, so the profit times 2.5, whatever the annual profit is times 2.5 plus assets. So if you're wanting to buy a chiropractic practice from a guy who says he makes $100,000 a year of profit, the bank would say, well, it's worth $250,000 plus assets. We'll lend you up to $350,000.
Yeah.
And you go, yeah, absolutely, let's do it. And they say, we need to see his balance sheet.
Right.
So you show him the balance sheet, and the banker says, this guy only profits $10,000 a month,
Right.
or $10,000 a year.
10,000 a year. Yeah.
And they said, the banker says, I'll lend you $35,000.
Right.
And so you go back to the guy and you say, guy, I want to buy your practice for $35,000. And the guy says, no, it's worth $350,000.
10 times that. Yeah.
Right.
And you go, but not on paper. You see, so you've got to look at the actual numbers. And there's a little I said it, ask to see the real numbers and don't what, Jason? Don't what? What does it say?
Don't sign a non-disclosure agreement.
Why?
That is a great question.
Dr. Breck, why do you think I would not sign a non-disclosure agreement to look at your numbers?
I was actually, when I heard Jason read that, I was kind of curious. What is the logic behind that?
Because then people will say I stole your idea.
Okay.
Let me just give you an example. There's a guy, we'll call him I'm trying to think of an affectionate professional term to insult somebody. It would be like an idiot
Okay.
who came to a workshop, years ago. And the guy, now just so we're clear, this particular guy was not based in Tulsa, was never a client, just this is a real scenario. If you go down to Dallas, though, there's a company called Door Real Estate. Have you guys heard about Door Real Estate?
Yes.
Okay.
But only because you told me.
Well, I'm going to pull up Door Real Estate. Door Real Estate is a great company, and these guys do flat rate real estate fees, okay?
So kind of like Sam Adams Real Estate.
Yeah, we're just a lot cheaper. That's all it is. I mean, So this is what it has. This is great agents, full service, lower fees. It's door.com. Unrivaled home listing for just $5,000 paid at closing.
Okay.
So no matter how big the house is, door.com will sell your house for a flat fee of $5,000. $5,000. Now, my company, Sam Adams, charges $1,000. But it's the same service. It's just, we literally will list your house. You still have a real estate agent, but instead of paying 6%,
Right.
so on a $300,000 house, instead of paying $18,000 of fees, at Door, it's just $5,000.
Which, if your house is more than a $100,000 house,
It's a great deal.
It's a good deal.
So,
But if it's under, at Door, it's not necessarily a great deal. But at Sam Adams, it's still a great deal.
let me just give the listeners a tip. This guy came from California because California knows how to party. So he comes out to the
Especially with real
workshop.
estate.
He comes out and he says, I got this idea. I'm going to be doing a flat rate real estate. And I said, okay, that's great. I said, have you sold any houses? No, but here's the deal. I got this hot deal. It's a flat rate.
Right.
He's like, I need a website. I need all these things. I said, great. I said, have you ever sold any houses? No. How are you going to market it? Long story short, we didn't work with the guy, but this guy was a real estate agent who had the idea for flat rate real estate years ago, he said. And I'm like, well, are you aware there's other companies that do this? And he's like, no way. They stole my idea? Are you kidding me? Who stole my... They stole my idea.
Right.
And this guy discovers that Door.com exists, and I'm not kidding you. He says he's going to sue him for stealing his idea. And I'm like, well, let me give you a list of other people to sue. There's a lady in Tulsa right now who does flat rate real estate too. And I'm also thinking about doing flat rate. He goes, are you stealing my idea? So I'm not kidding.
Right.
I'm not kidding. We have people in this building that can vouch for the story. And he says, I'm gonna sue you. He attended my workshop and he told me about his idea for flat rate real estate. And I was already doing flat rate real estate and he wanted to sue me. So again, you don't want to sign a non-disclosure because the moment, Dr. Breck, that you go back to your practice and start doing what you normally do, I could accuse you of stealing my
stealing an
chiropractic ideas. So if you're thinking about acquiring a restaurant, don't sign a non-disclosure before meeting them.
Right.
Don't do it. Don't, because they're going to say you stole their idea for bacon and eggs.
Right.
We were the only ones in the world that provided biscuits.
Can't do that.
You can't stole my biscuit idea. You can't don't sign a non-disclosure or you will get sued by a business owner that's struggling. And by the way, a lot of people that want to be purchased are struggling.
Sure. Oh,
So,
yeah.
so they see you as a money grab. It's actually a methodical move I've seen people do. Do not sign a non-disclosure before meeting with somebody about buying their company on that initial visit. Do not do it.
Now, on the idea, now isn't there a statistic about like when you have an idea that 3 or 4 other people right now are having the same idea, and it's the one who takes the action to bring it to market? Like, you know, if you seem to have something that's truly revolutionary, isn't there a statistic about you're not likely the only one having that idea, and so if you don't take action, you've missed your window?
Well, what I have found, and I don't have a stat for you, but I can give you anecdotal support to this. A lot of people thought of an online bookstore at the same time Jeff Bezos did.
Right.
I know a lot of people who've thought about this driving range concept, where it's kind of like driving range and having a good time.
Right.
You know, hitting golf balls while there's music and digital screens and all that. A lot of people have had that idea. But to my knowledge, there are 2 companies that actually did it. There's Flying T
and Topgolf.
and Topgolf.
Yeah.
I think Topgolf is the one killing it, isn't it?
I think so.
I think Topgolf.
We have Flying T here,
We have Flying
and it's
T.
great.
So there's Flying T and Topgolf. But just quit running around thinking that ideas matter. It's the execution of the ideas.
Right.
You got to get off that idea that the ideas matter. You got to. It's the execution. It's the execution of the idea that matters. Maybe that helps somebody out there. It's not, success. Thomas Edison wrote is 1% inspiration, 99% perspiration.
Right.
You just got to take massive action. Now, Jason, what is the next step?
The next step 6, is determine if their business is bankable.
Now, bankable, that means will a bank lend you money to buy them?
Right.
Again, if a guy's claiming to make $100,000 a year, but only shows he makes $10,000 a year on his tax returns, that's not bankable.
Right.
True.
All right. So, Jason, what is subpoint A underneath step 6?
Subpoint A, does it operate at sustainable and bankable profit margin?
So, does it operate at a sustainable? What does it mean to be sustainable, Dr. Breck? If I were to buy a practice from another chiropractor,
Right.
and I took him out of the practice, what do you think would probably fall apart if I took out the main product that we offer, the main the main service? If it was called Dr. Smith's Chiropractic, and I bought the chiropractic business from Dr. Smith, therefore Dr. Smith no longer works there, how could that impact the business, you think?
It could impact it greatly. When I was looking to purchase this other practice, I did look into statistics about chiropractic practices and buying and medical practices in general. You can anticipate that there is a minimum of a 25% loss.
People will leave.
People will leave.
They don't,
some have been looking to leave,
Yeah.
and so this is their window of opportunity.
There we go.
Others may give you one try. They may just see this as a chance to, hey, I need to get off the fence and go elsewhere anyway. They don't like your personality. They really like Dr. Smith, and it doesn't matter who you are. They're just not going to be happy with anybody.
That is going to happen.
So a minimum of 25% is what I came to understand.
And I 100% agree with that statistic. I've seen it happen. Jason, what is subpoint B? Question B.
Subpoint B is what would happen if the owner left?
That's the question we just talked about.
Yep.
Subpoint C, what's that? What's happening?
Are customers loyal to the owner or the brand?
Yeah.
What? Are you saying what? Jason, could you say that again one more time?
Yeah. Are the customers loyal to the owner or the brand itself?
What does that question mean, Jason?
So that question means if you were to buy the business, are the customers more than likely to exit because they prefer the face of the business? Or if you were to maybe change one little tweak, would that affect the branding that they're so passionate about?
Let's go to elephant in the room. Let's go to elephant in the room, our men's grooming establishment.
Yes.
Jason, why do I rotate stylists from store to store? Why do I rotate when clients call, great people like Dr. Breck when they call? Why do I try to accommodate their requests of which stylist they want when possible, but why do they typically get a new stylist maybe every third or fourth visit? Why?
Well, one, everybody there can do the exact same thing, so
Okay.
they're always going to be in good hands. But two, you avoid that weird campiness, but also that addiction that people get to like a specific person that provides the service.
Very smart.
You know what they say. See a broad to get that booty yak 'em. Leg her down or smack 'em, yak 'em.
Clay, what does that what would that have to do with what we're talking about? Nothing. I just like hitting that. Sometimes I just like to hit that button. I just like to say,
You know what they say. See a broad to get that booty yak 'em. Leg her down or smack 'em, yak 'em.
there's something awesome about that button. Just every time I hit the button, I get a feeling of satisfaction.
You know what they say.
Oh, just-
See a broad to get
There
that
it
booty
is.
yak 'em. Leg her down or smack 'em, yak 'em.
Now, Thrive Nation, I want you to learn how to do this, okay? I want you to, everyone say it with me now on the count of 3. Here we go. 1, 2, 3.
You know what they say. See a broad to get that booty yak 'em. Leg her down or smack 'em, yak 'em.
Now, it's going to take some more repetition before we get it, okay? So here we go.
You know what they say. See a broad to get that booty
action.
yak 'em.
Lay her down and smack 'em, yak 'em. That's a great thing. It's so important that we get 500,000 people
Yes.
who can learn this obscure airplane reference from the 1980s slapstick comedy. It is so important. No, but seriously, when you go out there and you run a men's grooming business or a personal training business or a chiropractic center, you've got to rotate the patients or the clients to different people so people can be loyal to the brand and not to the people.
Right.
Because if people are loyal to that specific person, you are going to find yourself hurting for certain when they leave. And Jason, will they leave?
Absolutely.
Oof. Just had a person on the team, he'd been with us, I think 4 or 5 years, whatever, left on great terms, but out of the blue, left, boom. Did it impact me? No. Do I care? Not really. I care about the person, but I'm not sitting there in my garage crying, lamenting, looking at old photos, like, we're going to lose all of our clients. But I used to be.
Right.
With the DJ business, I let our customers get loyal to the DJs.
Right.
And you know what would happen when that DJ would start his own company, Dr. Breck?
Those customers went with that DJ.
Every freaking time. And I only played that game for like 7 years in a row before I figured out I hated losing it.
Right. Yeah.
If you're out there
And
and,
you found a way to win it.
if you're out there and you're going, gosh, I keep running this game plan. I don't know what it is. Every Sunday, my players suit up. We get ready. We have the helmets on. We got our jerseys on there. And every play, I say, we're going to run it down the middle. Every play. All right, break. We huddle up, guys. Play number 2. It's second down. It's 2nd and 12. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna run it right down the middle because you know what guys, look, focus. Are you focusing there?
You know what they say. See a broad to get that booty yak 'em. Leg her down and smack 'em, yak 'em.
So I'm gonna say, guys, listen. Clay, I know you're a hot quarterback. I know you think you're the hot stuff, but we got to do something different. Last week we ran the ball down the middle every play, and we never got a first down. I'm like, it's the principle. We are going. Are you quitting on me? You freaking jerks. Listen, it's 2nd and 12. You know what we're gonna do? Run the ball right down the middle. All right, here we go. Break.
I had that, coach.
And then you hike right to the middle. You get tackled. Oh, all right. It's 3rd and 17. Clay, we lost 5 yards in that play.
I don't know
What
why
we-
we're not successful.
Should we ever throw the ball? No.
No.
Why? Well,
You know what they say. See a broad to get that booty yak 'em. Leg her down or smack 'em, yak 'em.
Clay, that's not a strategy. Nor does it make any sense. We got to do something else. Guys, you got to have the fire of desire. That's required. It's 3rd and 17. And when it's 3rd and 17 and you find yourself against a wall in the first quarter of a game, backed in on your 1 yard line, you know what we have to do? Do you know what people have been doing for thousands of? Do you know what the Incans would have done in this kind of situation? The Incan Indians, the Mayans, the early settlers of the Mesopotamia River Valley. Do you know what they would say during this particular moment?
A lot of pressure. You got to rise above it. You got to harness in the good energy, block out the bad. Harness, energy, block, bad. Feel?
Clay, that doesn't make any sense. Guys, it's 3rd down. It's 18. We're on our 1 yard line. And we're going to run that ball down their throats. So the other team has all their players stacked. They don't even have defensive backs in. They've got their backup linemen now who are behind the linemen. The backup linemen are behind the linemen. They don't have any defensive backs, no cornerbacks.
They
They've
got
pulled
6 linebackers.
They got 11 linemen, there's 6 linebackers they've got, and they're just ready to go. And you hike the ball and boom, safety, and you lose 2 points. You punt the ball, and you do it again and again and again and again, and you lose. over and over and over, and eventually the owners of the Cleveland Browns would realize we got a horrible coach. And if you're out there today and you're not getting people loyal to your brand and you're letting people get loyal to your people, eventually you have to understand that doesn't work.
Nope.
You got to rotate, baby. Jason, what's the next step if we're going to merge and acquire a business?
So if you're going to merge and acquire a business, you have to determine if that business's team is going to work well with yours.
Step 7, you have to determine what?
If the team of the business that you are acquiring is going to work well with your team.
So years ago, I bought a party rental company and had 10 employees. And on day 2, the guys who had the commercial driver's licenses, the only 3 guys we had,
Right.
the drivers who drove the party rentals from A to B,
Right.
told me they were all quitting at the same time because they didn't like the new culture. True story.
Yeah.
So
That was a bad day.
It was a horrible day. So I ended up having to pay people I hated more than they were worth. While I was secretly, think about how crazy that is. I had to secretly try to hire people to replace them. Like I had to have Craigslist ads that had a phone number they couldn't figure out who it was.
Right.
Because they were controlled me. They were holding me hostage.
Right.
So before you buy a business, you got to figure out, is this new team going to play well with me?
Right.
And usually, I know this is kind of a shocker, but usually the team that you just bought will not want to work with you. They're not going to want to work with you. And do you know why they won't want to work with you?
You know what they say. See a broad to get that booty yak 'em. Leg her down or smack 'em yak 'em.
I don't know why. Just every single time people hate the new owner.
Yep.
Jason, you've seen that whenever we bring in a new manager at Elephant in the Room.
Yeah.
Our people always adapt to new managers.
Right.
But what do other hair salons typically do to the new manager?
They do that side, chin over the shoulder look, I'm not too sure about this person. They immediately start looking for the bad instead of just saying, oh, this is just a new addition to the team.
Dr. Breck, have you ever seen this where you try to change something? Not now, but back in the day with older employees. Not now, none of the people
Right.
today, but back in the day when you were growing drbreck.com, did you ever find that when you changed something, it made the current people upset? And changing anything at all?
Absolutely. Yeah. People hate change.
Changing the
just
hours?
All people hate change.
Changing the scrubs, the hours?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
The uniform, the
We've
policies?
changed uniforms. We've changed pricing.
Oh,
we've
people hate
changed
it.
Hours. We've policies. Any little change, people resist change.
People hate it.
Yeah.
People hate it so much that in Tulsa, we were flooding, and the city hopped on the TV. The city, G.T. Bynum, our mayor, did a great job with this, by the way. He was on Twitter saying, hey, via Twitter, it's time to evacuate. It's on the news. If you're watching the news right now, and you can understand the words coming out of my mouth, it is time to evacuate if you live in this part of Tulsa.
Yep.
People are going, I ain't moving. I'll tell you what, I'm going to be in here and I'll float my way down. I'll just float. I'll be here floating in my living room. I ain't moving. And so then they're sending out emails. The city's got texts. Did you get the text messages, the flood alert texts? They got texts going on. Jason, did you see the text messages?
I did not.
Oh.
I got all
You
of
got the messages, though.
I did get a message. Yeah.
And they text pretty much everybody in Tulsa. Then they
And
have...
I'm
we have-
nowhere near a floodplain.
they're-
I'm up on pretty high ground.
And they have billboards, by the way, that tell you how
Yes.
fast you're driving, that kind of thing. Those things said immediately evacuate if you live here.
Yep.
There was helicopters flying over the soon-to-be flooded areas. They could not have done anything more to educate people that you need to leave.
Right.
And still, certain people would not evacuate. Why? Why? If you know for sure you're going to flood, why wouldn't certain people evacuate there, Dr.
I
Brent?
just like hanging out on my roof.
I'll tell you what, I hate change, and I ain't gonna. The waters can come up, but it ain't going down. I'm gonna stay here. And then you see them on the news floating around, sitting on the top of their house, waiting for a boat to pick them up, talking about how they're mad they didn't get enough warning. What more warning do you want?
Right.
We have a massive dam called the Keystone Dam that releases a certain amount of cubic feet per second of water.
Right.
And we know what's going to flood,
Right.
because we're flooding ourselves.
Right.
The dam is going to flood. The dam is going to. The dam can only hold so much water in Keystone Lake.
Yeah, it's just going to pour over the top if we don't start letting some water out.
So they're releasing a certain amount of water, like 270 cubic feet per second, or whatever it's cubic feet
Yeah.
per. And they know if it's 270 or more,
These areas
are
are gonna
definitely going to flood. We know. We've done the math. This just in.
The Corps of Engineers actually does their job.
We know that the casino at 280, it's going to flood. We know it's going to flood.
And it did.
Some people are going, well, I don't know if it's going to flood. That's why they had to force people to evacuate. And even then, if you go online, you read some of the comments, people are like, would you believe they forced me out of the hotel? Why would they force me? I wanted to continue gambling with snakes and critters and lake water all by me. Why would they? People just hate the change. People really do hate the change. Jason, what's the next step?
The next step is see if the seller will be willing to owner finance.
Step 8. What does that mean, Jason?
That is a great question. I personally do not know.
Dr. Breck, in your mind, what does that step 8 mean?
So when an owner finances the purchase, it's they're carrying the note, so you're not necessarily going to go to the bank and borrow money against it, but the profits of the business are going to pay for the acquisition itself.
So instead of paying the bank, let's say you got a small business loan today to buy a $100,000 business. I'm just going to do a mortgage calculator just for a second. Mortgage calculator. I have found one. Our good friends at Google have a mortgage calculator. I'm going to put in a purchase price of $100,000. I'm going to put an interest rate of 7%. I'm going to say we agreed to make payments over a 10-year period.
Mm-hmm.
Usually you can't get a 10. Usually you can only get like a 5 or a 6.
Right.
But for some reason on the Google calculator, I can only go as little as 10 years. But the point is, you'd be paying like, $1,500 a month, we'll call it.
Mm-hmm.
So, but you'd just be paying it to the owner as opposed to the bank.
Right.
So if you can't get qualified for a loan, if the bank doesn't want to do the deal, but the owner does, you can just make payments to the owner.
Right.
Nice.
And I've done those kind of deals before, and it works out well.
My situation was sort of a roundabout way of doing that.
Yeah, and just get an agreement, get a contract. You can do that. But if they're willing to owner finance, sometimes that's a really quick way to get the deal done.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're dealing with a bank, banks only want to deal with conforming loans that make sense and meet their criteria. Jason, what is the next great super step?
Super step number 9 is determine a plan for what the former owner will now be doing after the sale.
I like this button. I'm going to hit the button again. Can you read it again, please?
Yep. Determine a plan for what the former owner will now be doing after the sale.
Okay. A lot of times you're going to create a monster because nobody wants to talk about. You'll create a monster because nobody wants to talk about what the owner's going to do now that you've bought him out.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And a lot of times they'll take that money and start to compete with you right across the street. And I've only seen that movie happen a lot of times. I've only seen that particular move used a lot of times. So you got to get an agreement that the homeboy who bought
Non-compete clause.
the homeboy who you just bought, the guy you just bought out, isn't going to compete with you.
Right.
So, let me just give you an example. I don't want to own a DJ company right now, but about a year ago, I started thinking about wanting to do it again. Because I could do it so much easier now.
Right.
Sure.
And I can tell you, you would not want to compete with me.
I believe that.
So I pulled up my non-compete agreement, and I looked at it, and I go, Vanessa, can I compete? She says, as a family, I'm not allowed to right now. But legally, no, not until this day.
Okay.
So I circled that
So you're
day.
still under that.
No, it's over now.
Still. Oh, it's over now. Okay.
Yeah, and I really do. I mean, there's certain days where I'm like, I want to compete. Because it'd be so fun to destroy the company I built. Like, that would just be so fun. It would just be so fun just loading up mega points and just getting mega points and Galaga points and holy cows and just the energy of just beating a company that you just... But then I go, nah, that's not nice. But then I think about it like, who cares? Maybe I should just do it. I don't know. I just don't know what to do. I get these
You're a
conflicting
competitor
feelings.
in the game of life.
And I want to do it. So my son says, Dad, I want to be a DJ. And I'm like, are you kidding me? This is about 3 years ago.
Right.
So I started doing some Google search, and I'm looking for the phrase. I'm just typing in Tulsa DJs just to, flirt with the idea.
Right.
And I've heard great things about your son's DJing skills.
And I'm going, right here, guys, this is going to be really easy to win in Google. And so I'm throwing it out here. I think DJ Aubrey might be topping Google soon.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, because nobody has the diligence, the tenacity, the focus, the commitment, because they want to go out and, enjoy time on the lake. That's okay. Yeah. But it's like, if Tom Brady is Tom Brady no matter what team you put him on.
Right. I mean, well, and now he's developed that confidence, which you have that confidence. You've built it before, and now you're going to build it
again,
faster, quicker, better,
yeah, and
stronger.
So if you're out there listening and you're going, what are you really saying? I'm just saying that I haven't started beating my company I started.
But look out.
But look out. Yeah. I'm just saying, I'm just
coming for you.
As soon as I get the approval to
From
do
Vanessa.
it, I'm going to do it. and it's going to be awesome.
It's going to cue the Jaws theme right now, Tominus.
I'm just saying, I
Yes.
really, really want to do it, and I just feel like I should do it today. I can't. I have to wait a certain amount of time. I have to wait, and so get that non-compete signed. And I did. I signed a long one. I think mine was like 10 years.
Well, I was going to say that would have to be a pretty long one.
It was like 10, and the reason why is because the guy who bought it from me realizes that what he's dealing with here, and he's like, promise not to compete?
He needs like a
Absolutely.
50-year clause.
I'll honor my agreements, but
Right.
only until the agreement's over.
Sure.
And then I'm ready to go again. 'Cause I just,
No longer bound by it.
Shunda, I want to do it. I was getting excited this morning. I wanted to start a company to beat my old company, but I can't do it yet. I got to get the approval from the wife. Okay, Jason, what's the next step?
The next step is paint the walls.
Paint the walls. Paint the walls. Step 10, paint the walls. You must paint the walls. When you buy a new business, you go in there and paint those walls. Find a wall. Let's say that the previous owner had a blue wall and your favorite color's red. Paint that wall red. Paint the wall. Go in there and paint the walls. Why do you have to paint the walls? Well, one, a lot of people let it get kind of campy. There's disrepair. Maybe the wall is scuffed. Maybe the walls they need some freshening up.
Okay.
Just painting the walls, even if you paint them the exact same color, shows, wow, they're freshening things up.
Right.
Just get that sign freshened up. Just freshen it up. Maybe keep the exact same color, but just freshening it up shows, wow, new management, new energy. This is a positive place. This is a good move. Paint the walls. Paint the wall. Now, if you paint the walls a different color, that says change is coming.
Yep.
So if you're going to quit, do it now. If
Right.
you're going to leave and go to another business, go do it. But some positive change will happen. But I'm not going to be loyal to things that didn't work in the past. I'm going to paint a wall. When you paint a wall, it shows activity. I actually know of a minister, a very successful pastor, who always is painting a wall. He insists that his
Yes.
church, they're always painting something.
Okay.
Do you know why he's always doing that, Jason?
I don't. Why?
We're
We're not going to get too comfortable.
There it
We're
is.
We're gonna keep things moving forward.
He always wants the church to be progressive and moving forward, and he finds that the congregation loves to see proactivity, and it's a major campus.
Oh.
So he's always painting something so that way it's never in a state of disrepair.
Right.
Have you guys ever watched documentaries about how they maintain the Golden Gate Bridge?
Yes. That's pretty fascinating.
Isn't it crazy?
Yeah.
What do you recall from watching that show or a show about it?
Actually, just the the diligence and the man hours. I mean, the amount of paint, the process.
They're never done.
They're never finished, but it's an ongoing, constant.
There's some dude
Work.
I watched. There's a bunch of people, but I think there was a team of dozens of people, and like there's some dudes. He literally all he does is paints the bridge, and it's something crazy. Where like once he gets to the end of the bridge, he starts again,
Turns around and does it again.
and it's like every 6 months.
Well, yeah, and
because
they're
of
like
the walk.
walking the bridge, and there's people inspecting it constantly, and any kind of little thing, they're gonna fix it and change it, and I mean, like daily, they're checking the same thing they checked yesterday.
So if you're out there today and you're thinking about buying or acquiring a business, those are the 10 steps. But Jason, a lot of people, mainly me, a lot of times we get distracted during a podcast.
Right.
We maybe need a recap of those steps.
Yeah.
So maybe we can recap those. But I think Dr. Breck has a hot take for
Well,
us.
just kind of a question. So this painting a wall, is this a little bit like a marking your territory?
Yeah.
I mean, is this kind of like a, hey, like I'm here and
I don't have a
own this place?
Yeah, I don't have a specific list.
I mean, kind of like a very rudimentary Neanderthal,
Yeah, well, let me-
animalistic
me-
marking territory.
Let me tell you what I did.
Is that the clean way of saying that?
Right.
Fairly recently, there was a certain member of one of the companies that I owned who was a minority partner. This is years back, and he started philosophically disagreeing with a lot of things I do.
Okay.
So always questioning the ethics. Let me
Right.
let me give you an example. To get to the top of Google, Jason, there are 4 steps you have to take. What are the 4 steps to get to the top of Google?
4 steps are you have to have the most Google reviews.
Most Google reviews.
You have to have
Most objective Google reviews from real customers. Yes, continue.
You have to have the most original HTML content.
Okay.
You have to be Google canonical compliant with your website,
Yep.
and you have to be mobily compliant with your website.
By the way, you get 1,307.23 mega points.
Sweet.
Impressive. You can-
0.23.
You can redeem those at Dollar Thrifty. It's the dollar. What's the dollar store? It's Dollar Thrifty, the rental car.
I
It
used to
is,
work for
yeah.
them.
Yeah, you can go in there and try to redeem it. I'm not sure we have all the agreements worked out yet, but
I see what you're doing. They don't exist anymore. You're crafty.
You're like, sir, I'm here. I realize you're no longer in business, but I have 1.23 thousand mega points. Can I exchange these for a car? Anyway, so anyway, a partner who would say, Clay, sites look gross when you load them up with all that content. It looks stupid. Furthermore, I think some of the articles we're writing don't make sense, and I just don't think it's ethical to write crappy articles. And I'm like, look here, buddy. Who are you to say that me and my team, who write only the crappiest fine articles, are shady? I mean, we're trying, but you've currently written 0 articles, and you've been here for years. And you've been talking about the articles you're going to write and the pages you're going to write, but you don't do it. So I'm doing the best I can. I'm having people on my team write the best articles they can. And if we write an occasional bad article, sorry. But you know what? We're doing our best.
Right.
Well, it's just shady you're asking people to leave you objective reviews. They should only do it if they feel prompted by God or by themselves. Like, get out of here.
They won't.
Yeah, seriously. And then I brought in a guy to speak to our team. Who happened to not be a Christian, but he's very successful. And the guy's like, I think the Spirit of the Lord is condemning us. I just feel like it's keeping our business from growing because we brought in an outside speaker who's not a Christian. I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you serious? I have a guy coming to teach our team who used to manage thousands of employees at one of the biggest companies in the world, and because he is not a Judeo-Christian, he literally didn't say a single thing about religion at all.
Right.
He was just teaching the concept of the group interview to our team, saying that when you have thousands of employees, you have to interview all the candidates at one time. You don't have time to read resumes.
Right.
You're saying that because of that, somehow the Spirit of the Lord is hurting our sales? Get out of here. I said, we have to switch the website to WordPress. He says, no, it looks better on PHP. I'm like, I don't care about PHP. I want it to rank in Google.
Right.
So I just had somebody whose head was so far up their anus that I had to let them know a few things. So I wrote all of the truth that you see on the walls in one night. And he came back to work, and he's going to the urinal, and it says right there above the urinal, it says, I do judge you based on what you do. I do see you Facebooking, Instagramming, and I do record your keystrokes. And all the employees who are here know I do that anyway.
Right.
But I think he forgot I was doing it. And he says, do you record my keystrokes? I said, I do record your keystrokes. And that's how I know about the prostitute you hired. And he says, huh? And I said, yeah. See, I know those things. I don't know if the church you go to would be interested if I tweeted them at the... What if I were to tweet the guy? Look, see what this guy just bought today. Look at that.
Maybe the Spirit of the Lord was more condemning of that than...
That's what I'm saying. So I said to the guy, it prompted that conversation.
Right.
And he was like, you record my keystrokes? And I literally said to him, I said, yeah, that's how I know about the prostitute you ordered. He goes, you know about that? Yeah, and I know about the weed you smoke. I know it's legal in this city, but I know about it. I also see the LSD you use. I know that, and I know about you faking being sick because I record your keystrokes. You see, I do that, and so I need you to leave. And he was, but he was so offended by the picture of Jesus I put up and the Israeli flag and all of the notable quotables. It made it such a polarizing environment that he couldn't be here anymore. He was like, it was like wigging him out.
Right.
I love that. So again, when you paint a wall, it's a polarizing idea.
Right.
I encourage you right now, if you don't know who's for you or against you, painting a wall is a powerful thing. Maybe put a big fat head on the wall, a big print on the wall that states something that you believe that will offend the people who don't believe that thing.
Right.
Like as an example, you could put on the wall, I'm not saying you should do this, but you could say, at drbreck.com, we are not late for appointments. And then in parentheses, or your money back. You put that guarantee on the wall, let me tell you what happens. A customer will see that, and a patient will see that, and they go, wow, this guy values being on time. And all of a sudden, the member of, not your team, but somebody else's team, who's chronically late, they recognize, wow, that's a crazy statement. Are you saying we're going to refund people? And I'm yeah, I am. And all of a sudden, it fixes things real quick. When you paint something on a wall, when they put up that big old mural of LeBron James in downtown Cleveland when he signed with them, it says, I'm back.
Right.
Let me tell you what that did for the city. It gave that city that confidence that LeBron James was back.
Right.
And when he signed with LA and they tore that thing down almost immediately, that said something.
Right.
Paint a wall. Paint a wall. It absolutely polarizes. It sends the right messages to the right people. Jason, recap the 10 steps of determining whether to merge and acquire a business or not. The 10 steps to properly merging and acquiring a business.
Alrighty, here we go. Step 1, make sure your current business has a strong leadership team and will not fall apart when you are not there.
Check.
Step 2, look for businesses that you can vertically integrate.
Check.
Step 3, make a Dream 100 list of businesses to buy.
Roger.
Step 4, call them all until they say no or yes to having a confidential appointment.
Check over. What's your vector?
I don't know the answer to that question, but step 5 is meet with the potential seller.
It's cutting out. Back to you.
Going through a tunnel. Step 6, determine if their business is bankable.
What you want? Today we'll be serving tater tots and students stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and we'll now be saying the pledge.
Step 7, determine if their team would work well with yours.
In case of an emergency, we'll be in an airplane and there's no chance of survival, so just don't scream!
Step 8, see if the seller will be willing to owner finance.
Sorry, I forgot I was on a mic.
Step 9, determine a plan for what the former owner will be doing after the sale.
How you doing?
Great. Step 10, paint the walls.
Paint the walls. This just in. That's how you do it. If you're thinking about buying a business, those are the steps. You can do it. Dr. Breck, any final thoughts about merging and acquiring for the listeners out there? Any thoughts, any final pontifications? Because you've been in business for a long time. You've seen some good things, some bad things go down. You're a great chiropractor. Any final words of wisdom? Or any questions? Maybe Jason, any questions?
I do have a question on step 9 where it talks about what the former owner will be doing.
Yeah.
And then, the two-headed monster of having ownership. So we kind of glossed over that. But I know some mergers and acquisitions, the former owner stays on board for 90 days.
I got a really hot
year, and I think you're going to tell me no, they need to be out the door.
Yeah, I got a hot one that just happened recently. There's a big organization that recently acquired another one. Mm-hmm. And the current owner said, if you're going to buy me, I would like to stick around for 2 years. Mm-hmm. Just as sort of like a leadership role. I'll be like your assistant. It'll be very clear that you're the owner.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I'll be like the co-owner. Mm-hmm. Just so I can show my support, keep, the loyalty there. Well, the new owner makes some changes, like one of which he says, moving forward, we're going to have our team meetings at this particular time. Mm-hmm. Used to be at this time, but now we're just going to move to this time.
Right.
Sets the time, all is well. Mm-hmm. The new owner shows up for the new time for his meeting, and no one's there.
Right. And
he calls the previous owner and says, what happened? He says, a lot of people didn't like the new time, and so I went ahead and just changed it back. I guess I forgot to tell you. Mm-hmm. And wow, that sent a powerful message.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the new owner wanted to raise prices just a little bit. Mm-hmm. It was like something stupid, like $1 per service or just some little amount.
Right.
And he did. And then the new people were like, I don't think it's going to work. I don't think people are going to like this. Mm-hmm. I don't think we should do it. And they went to the old owner, and the old owner said, you're right, guys. I don't agree with this. I mean, let's keep the prices now, but I don't agree. Mm-hmm. So there's two different cultures going on. Right. And it got really, really bad.
Undermining every aspect.
And do you know how that situation ended up ending?
No.
The new owner ended up going into litigation versus the old owner for doing actions that were harmful against the business.
Right.
And basically pointing out that he had a fiduciary duty not to hurt his own company.
Right.
And he was hurting his own company. Mm-hmm. And they forced him out and had to change the locks. Yep. And he still got his check, but it was a forced removal.
Yeah.
And that happens a lot. Mm-hmm. So just be very careful and intentional about addressing what's going to happen to the new ownership.
Right. Have a clear plan in place.
What happens to the old owner? What happens to the new owner? Have a plan in place, or it gets really weird real fast.
But you would say that transition needs to probably happen pretty quickly too.
I would just say it has to do with the temperament of the guy you're buying out or the lady you're buying out. Because I know of a situation recently where one of my clients was acquired recently, and they asked him to stick around for a year. Mm-hmm. And he's a very calm guy, and he actually likes it, and they like him. Because he's the kind of guy who was thankful somebody wanted to buy him.
He got on board. And
he loves it. He's commented to me, so I prefer not being the owner.
Right.
I actually enjoy it better. It's a great thing. I love these guys. They, gave me a huge nest egg, millions of dollars in the bank, and now I have a job. I just like it.
Right.
It's a better deal. And they refer to him as the founder, and he runs around as being the founder.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have the responsibility or the weight of running a multi-million-dollar business.
There you go.
So if you're out there today, that is how you determine what kind of business to buy. That's what you do after you buy the business. That's how you acquire. That's how you merge. That's Mergers and Acquisitions 101. My name's Clay Clark. That's Dr. Breck, DRBRECK.com. If you have a spine... Do I have a spine? If you have a spine, I think I have a spine. If you have a spine and you are in the Tulsa, Oklahoma area, I encourage you to go see Dr. Breck. He's a great chiropractor, currently the highest and most reviewed chiropractor in all of Oklahoma, to my knowledge, at least Tulsa for sure. And the first exam is free. The first adjustment is free. The first x-ray is free. It's all free, so you really have nothing to lose, and you can decide whether Dr. Breck is a good fit for you or your family or not. Maybe you go in there and you have the best time of your life, and you say, this guy really helped me with my allergies, my chronic pain. This guy really helped my sacroiliac and my back, helped me with my allergies. I feel so much better. Or maybe you go in, you show up 47 minutes late. Maybe you get frustrated that the doors are closed because you're 47 minutes late. Maybe you're upset that they set appointments. Maybe you don't like the fact that he's prompt. Maybe you're the kind of guy that, doesn't like to deal with a professional atmosphere. Maybe you are upset that he's not officing in a flea market somewhere. Maybe you don't like the professionalism. Maybe you don't like the fact that he's physically fit and confident and that he cares about you. Maybe you don't like the fact that he cares about his patients in a probably unhealthy way. Maybe you don't like the fact that he's been doing this for how many years, Dr. Breck?
15 going on 16.
Yeah, so if you're looking for a startup chiropractor who's sarcastic and always late and really doesn't give a crap at all, who's officing at a flea market in Sapulpa, you're not going to like Dr. Breck. But if you're out there looking for a professional guy, you're going to like him. Check him out today, drbreck.com. That's DRBRECK.com. That's what's the website? You might say, well, Clay, I can't go there. My carpal tunnel hurts so much. Well, he can help you with the carpal tunnel issue, but you got to get there. So I want you to get out like a hammer and somehow use the bottom of the hammer to type in boop, 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 on a computer keyboard. Have your friend help you, but go to drbreck.com. Say, what the heck? I'm going to drbreck.com and book that appointment, because once you book that appointment and you experience that pain-free, that pain release, that pain relief, your life is going to get better. We like to end each and every show with a 3, 2, 1, and a boom. But on today's show, we're going to go 4, 7, 3, boom. Why? Because I want it to be memorable. 4, 7, 3, boom.